just a little lie, just a little one, not a big one, not a huge one, just a little one. So, is there a difference for you in those lies? Right? It's like I was always taught a little white lie. That's okay. Like if somebody asked you, how do I look in this new dress? And you thought, awful, right? You never said that because you didn't want to hurt their feelings. So you said, you look great. Awesome. And I've come to realize that over my life is that what I've maybe perceived as a little lie, someone else has perceived as a big lie. And that perception from the other person, I can't control, can I? So I've thought maybe I'm protecting them by avoiding telling them the whole truth or what I really felt. And in a sense, they felt like I didn't trust them or I didn't have enough respect for them to be honest with them, or I didn't value that they could handle what I was saying. So even though I thought I was doing something nice or protecting or honoring them in some way, that was never received. And so I've come to learn that being authentically true with what I feel and expressing it so the other person gets it is the best I can do in a loving, respectful way. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, that's the worst outfit I've ever seen on you, I could have said something like, you know, I really liked you better in the other outfit. I thought that, really brought out the color of your eyes. It just showed off your legs, whichever, right? Like it seemed, just from my perspective, that's my feeling, that's my opinion. So you really don't like this. Well, you're asking me, so you're asking me I would prefer you in the other outfit. And I have discovered that when I can be authentically aligned with my perception, different words come than, oh my gosh, that's the worst outfit that I've ever seen you in. So right now, there's people in your life that they may or may not be telling you the truth. And some other people might be saying they are definitely not telling you the truth, but you're still wanting to believe that they are telling you the truth. And if you've been a victim of deceit or deception previously, if you've been a child where you maybe had something simple happen or maybe a traumatic, but what you felt like and what you heard were different, there can be a gap between that perception. And so you might still wanting to believe that that person is telling you the truth, yet someone else is telling you, I don't think they're telling you the truth. So it could be like you're in a partnership, you're in a relationship, and you so want that person that you love and care about to be telling you the truth. You're listening to their words, right? You're like, their words sound so good, but there's just this little feeling in there that not quite right. And your friend is saying, you know what? I have that feeling too. I think there's something up. And you're like, yeah, I don't want to go there. Because you don't want to go there because you're afraid that if you go there, you're going to discover maybe what you're feeling is true. And then what? And the then what hasn't come yet. So many of us are stopped or make choices now based on a then what. So if I don't get the jab, then I'm not going to get to travel. Is that true? Is it really true? Do you absolutely know that it's true? You can start to recite all the reasons why it's true, why you've heard this is what they're doing, and this is the plan, and this is the da. But in the world of infinite possibilities, that is one possibility. There's a possibility you get the jab, you travel. You don't get the jab, you don't travel. And then there's a gazillion other possibilities out there. So what if You're feeling this way because maybe what you're being told, you're being lied to. Because maybe that isn't the infinite possibility that is possible. I have experienced many, many things in my life, and so many beyond what I would have thought could possibly exist. Healing is one of those. Knowing that my body has healed and gets stronger and healthier all the time, that's all in about quantum physics. It's all about what Jesus said, you're healed. It's all about what Bruno said, know thyself, you're healed, turn around. There's always been this information there. But although it's there and it's sitting there on the buffet table, it's like the food that very few people have tried, and they keep moving by it. They look at it and they're like, I've never tried that before. I think I'll stay with the safe things. Or maybe I'll trust your opinion. But this great looking dish that maybe you want, it's just like, yeah, I've never been there and nobody I know has really tried it really yet. If I try that, I'm going to go in a whole other space because this is familiar. Getting out of your comfort zone is where life starts. So many of you have heard all these sayings. You've heard that getting out of your comfort zone is where life begins. That's where the journey really happens. Getting out of the box, Jacqueline out of the box, right? That's the beauty of the presence. Yet knowing it, hearing it, and actually being it and doing it and having it, it's a whole other world. Hence why I call it your best whole new world. And I believe everybody's wired to have their best whole new world, except like that beautiful dish on the buffet table that looks really good, but you've never tried, and it's got some ingredients in there that, wow, you've never even heard of. I'm all of a sudden thinking of the duck's feet that were in my refrigerator when I was hosting Chinese students. I was like, and then there were chicken feet, and it was like, do I dare? Do I dare go there? So thankfully, in one respect for me, I've been the type of person that will try anything once. And that's not everything. I have most things I will try. I'll say I'll give it a go if it presents to me. So there's lots of things I haven't done, not like, so those extreme sports and things that people just are constantly bending the envelope. But I generally will have my own experience, and through my own experience, then I'll make my decision whether I want more of that or never again. And sometimes I've been in those experiences. Well, there were a lot of times I was in those experiences where the niggly igglies in my body were saying, I'm not so sure what that person's saying is true. But yet I'd also been conditioned in an environment that these little white lies were true. And what I realized is, in the sense of, I could pick up what my mom was feeling as a kid, right? I could feel that she was unhappy, but she had the most beautiful smile, right? And she was always wanting to be there for us and doing all the right things. But I could just feel and sense, and I started to see that in little ways as I got older. But there was always this disconnect. So it was kind of like, lying's a good thing, right? Because we're never really admitting how we're really feeling. We're just going to pretend all the way through it. And there's a sense of pretending or leaning into the future you want, and there's a pretending as in you're hiding the truth and you think you're hiding it. But you're really not, because your body's feeling it. And that's where you have health issues. My mom, it was migraines. And, it was almost like when things got too much pretending, she had to, she was out for the count. And most people think that's normal. Like disease, disorder, illness, sickness is normal. We've been conditioned in our life to think that's normal. And what if that is a lie? Whew. Right? What if some of the things you believe about the medical system, what you've been told and what you've been trained and educated in, have been just little lies? And maybe the doctors and the medical practitioners don't even really know that they've been lying, because they've been educated to believe what they believe. So how can you really blame them? How can you really judge them if they were only doing what they learned to do? Right? Then there comes that point, and you know it, and I know it, when your inners, you're inside your gut, you have this feeling that's saying, I don't know. It's called the moral compass. It's called an inner guidance. It's called God's connection that says, whoa, no. And sometimes it takes us like, boom, major crash to really turn around and pay attention. And other times it's too painful, man. We just can't go there. Oh my God. To face the truth is like, holy crap. I did that. I believe that. And because I believe that, I did that. And there are doctors right now that because of this jab, because of what has happened without the treatments being told over this past year, because that information was censored, and not just censored by big tech, it was censored by mainstream media. We haven't even got there yet. It was censored by the politicians. It was just censored because we all knew it. Those that are in the know it, we knew it. We knew it. There's many of us that just felt it. Even if they didn't know it yet, they felt it. And then they're like, oh, now I know it. But these doctors are now questioning all the vaccines. Not all the doctors, some doctors. That's what they're now looking at. They're like, holy moly, I've always thought all the vaccines were more or less safe, except this one. But now they're starting to really question how much big pharma has been controlling everything. How much money really goes in and controls it. 70 to 80% of all advertisements on TV are from big pharmaceutical companies. They pay out billion-dollar lawsuits because they make multiple billions of dollars. And the shareholders are in a controlled group. Institutional investors. Do you know what those are? You know, I remember taking the securities course. You know, there's one thing about learning stocks and bonds and trading, and then it's learning who controls the major shareholders. And how does that really work? And what families are involved? It becomes very intricate. But it's also very educational. But it's a different education. And then you might go, oh my gosh, was my education a lie? Was I taught the wrong things? The white Anglo-Saxon Christian education that I was taught was completely different than the upbringing of a Black person, a brown person, a red person, a yellow person, a green person, a person that was anything other than where I was living. So we are enlarging that scope of education. And we're starting to realize there was more than one perspective. It wasn't just the Christian white perspective. Because, you know, we know in the Christian church, as I was always like, why do we have Catholic, Protestant, Methodist, you know, blah, 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 blah. There are gazillion churches when there was supposedly just one Jesus. Because it was all perception. It was all fragmentation. And now we're fragmenting off on different areas of truth. And in social media, you see that because you can gravitate to what you want to gravitate, what's comfortable for you, what resonates with you. So there is a difference between a comfort zone and a resonating zone. And a resonating zone is when you feel that joy and that health and that peace and that love and that wealth. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I'm full of greatness because I'm source, God, consciousness, creation. And I'm unified in this presence. And it's awesome. That's a resonance. A comfort zone is, yeah, I can identify with that. I liked that. Maybe you're dissing a little bit. Maybe you're gossiping a little bit. Maybe you're sharing from the past. Maybe you're sharing from the future. But you're not really resonating fully in the expression and the greatness of source, consciousness, God, creator. Amazingness. Grateful, full of greatness. So really what I'm feeling that I've shared is about noticing what you're noticing. One of my key phrases, notice what you're noticing, the experience that you're experiencing, because you're only experiencing the experience, and Are you honest with yourself? And are you really feeling honest? Like, is there any discomfort in your body when you go to say something or speak it out? Are you feeling a little controlled or manipulated or coerced? Are you just going along with the flow because you think it's easier? I had one guy say to me, he doesn't like wearing the mask. He goes, but don't we have to do it? And I said, well, it's not the law, but people perceive it to be because it's the way it's presented. And he's like, I'm actually one of those types of people that if everybody walked off the bridge, I'd probably go to. And I mean, I really couldn't believe what he was saying but I do know that I probably was in that same situation in parts of my life. Very few, because I was always doing things a little bit differently. However, manipulation and control by masses, groups, communities, friends, media, corporations, you name it, there is that presence. And that is like the deceptive broadcast. The clear inner guidance, gut instinct that's coming through you is your resonance and is the power. So when you notice that you're in alignment with that, you'll be able to speak clearer. And you'll really notice who's talking to you about truth because they're talking to you. It's coming through them. They don't need to have the scripts in the paper to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to read it. Because if they're reading from something, it's not even their words. They need to have a speech writer because they can't talk. They're not authentically aligned. That's the simple one. A child doesn't need to say, excuse me, I've yet to master the art of public speaking. So what if we work together and write my speech before I talk to you? A teenager, you learn to talk, you learn to be present, you learn to trust your words. You speak out what comes to you and you manage the experience based on it. This paper world, this fictitious world that we've been living in, that's all based on paper. That's why indigenous First Nations, the original peoples, were all oral traditions, because source, God consciousness spoke through us and it resonated with us. There was a vibe that's like music and sound, healing. It resonates and you feel it. If you've never had that experience, you're still looking at the paper and go, prove it to me. Show me. Prove it. It's on paper. Your proof is through your own experience. You'll know when you're telling the truth. You'll know because you'll feel it. You'll convince yourself. Your body is your barometer. Day 2. And trust in your intuition. Discover your superpower. Available on Amazon, right? Learn to know who you are. And then be that lighthouse. Shine brightly. And you'll see that the world around you is transforming truly into your best whole new world. And you are authentically aligned, speaking your truth, and noticing those around you are starting to speak their truth too. See ya. Have a beautiful, awesome day. And stay unified.